Hi everybody, and welcome to another edition of Race Day Preview. I'm Dave D'Onofrio. With me, as usual, my Concord Monitor colleague, Gavin Faretra. Gavin, coming up this week to Texas, 8th week of the Sprint Cup season. Let's look back first to last week at Phoenix. I couldn't understand for the life of me at the end of that race why all these guys on the lead lap, caution comes out late. Kyle Busch, you know, he was going to win the race.
Sure.
Caution comes out. All of a sudden, everybody pits. Not one guy took a chance. Not one guy tried to steal a win there. Why?
I don't know. I mean, we talked about this before, and I guess it's better to be lucky than good at this point, because you look at the first few races of the season, and 5 of the 7 winners have been guys that haven't led the most laps. Only two drivers, Jimmy Johnson and Denny Hamlin, have led the most laps and won the race. So obviously, right now, it is better to be lucky than good. It just doesn't seem to make sense at this point.
Yeah, and I know the green-white checkered finish is still relatively new in NASCAR. So far this season we've had 4 of them, and I think that contributes to it. I think all of a sudden now you're seeing guys, they just want to be close. They want to be close for 298 out of the 300 laps, and then maybe take a chance on pit strategy, maybe hope you can get out before. And you're right, I think that's a good way to put it. It is right now better to be lucky than good in NASCAR.
Yeah, and it's just interesting so far, just in the sense that, like we said, that the guys that haven't led the most laps are winning, the guys that haven't are ending up winning these races. And so far it's been exciting. I mean, you look at the green-white checker, and I think it's a great thing, although you don't want to see it in every single race, but right now it makes for an exciting finish, and we're getting the results, and so be it.
It does make for an exciting finish, but at the same time, are we now at the point, or when I see a green-white checkered, I kind of feel like, okay, well, this race could have been 150 laps, 150 miles. Why not just have it shorter? It seems like right now you see a lot of laps run off when guys are just kind of going through the motions. We see it all the time in New Hampshire.
Sure.
Those laps from 100 to 200 tend to just go maybe 1 yellow.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's just guys in line running lap after lap.
Yeah, there's no lead changes at all.
Yeah, and you're trying to get to the finish and give yourself a shot.
Sure.
It's different the last couple of years with the rain situation. I think we saw last September it was a little more aggressive because nobody knew when the rain was going to come.
Sure.
But is it good for the sport to have that where you can honestly tune into a 4-hour telecast for about 15 minutes at the end and not have missed much?
It's almost like it's a combination of two elements that we see in basketball sometimes, where you look and sometimes the ref just feels like he has to make a call if there hasn't been one in a while, and I kind of get that same sense where after once you get past that big chunk like you talked about between laps 100 and 200 at New Hampshire, all of a sudden you got to throw the yellow flag out, where it's been too much green flag racing. And that and the fact that you only have to watch really the last 2 minutes of a basketball game, it seems like, especially in the NBA. So it's almost like it has that kind of feel to it right now.
The famous debris caution. You see those all the time.
Right.
Playing into this whole thing too, I think, is the fact that tires seem to have become the be-all end-all. It used to be you would, if you needed gas, you would hit up for a late pit stop under caution.
Sure.
Now you're fine on gas, but you're going in for 2 tires, or in Kyle Busch's case, what cost him, he went for 4. I think the tires might be the underlying story in all this.
Yeah, it's a little weird at the end of that race how many guys came in. I think maybe if 3 or 4 came in, some guys might have stayed out and tried to exhaust the tires that they have and hope that they can at least get maybe a top 5, top 10 finish. But I think because 4, 5, 6, 7, those guys started coming in, I mean, where's the cut line at that point? You want to make sure that you get yourself a top 10 or top 15 finish. It's so important these days with sponsorships and all of that. So I think because so many guys came in at once, or so many at first, to 15, the last 10 had to come in too.
Even race winner Ryan Newman admitted he was surprised that nobody took the chance. I was shocked, to be honest with you. I don't know why, if you're running 20th, you don't just stay out. You get your 5 points for leading a lap when everyone else goes in, and then you got 2 laps on a mile track to hold a lead. Even if you don't hold a lead, I'm going to guess you're not going to fall back worse than 20th, so you're going to be no worse off. Take a chance.
Yeah, I think. Well, the gambles, as funny as it is, were taking 2 tires instead of 4.
Right.
That's where they were gambling instead of staying out. Everybody came in and took 2 tires. So it was a weird situation, but I mean, that's why we're sitting here and they're driving the cars.
Yeah. On now to who to watch. One guy I'm going to keep an eye on this week is Kasey Kahne. Came out this week that he will be leaving Richard Petty Motorsports at the end of the year. Nobody knows what he's going to do next year, but we know he'll be at Hendrick in 2012. I think that this team is one to watch because sometimes in situations like this, you see the guys rally around each other. You see Kahne want to do well for his team that he's leaving. You see the team want to do well to prove that, hey, we're good enough. You can make plans 2 years down the road and cast us off now, but we're going to show you that we can still compete.
Sure, as far as he's concerned, it can go both ways or either way, and I think it is going to go the way that you're saying, because those guys want to hold on to their jobs, and you don't want to look at the end of the year and have it be a complete scrap. He's got a job in 2012. These guys might not necessarily. The guy that I'm watching this week is going to be Ryan Newman. Similar to when we had the same conversation after the Daytona 500, what was Jamie McMurray going to do? Well, pretty much nothing since then.
Right. What
is Newman going to do now after a 77 race drought? Let's hopefully something, and you know, working for that Tony Stewart / Hendrick team, I think he needs to follow up with another solid race this week.
The stories of Newman and Kahne could overlap here in the next few years. You're looking at a Hendrick team that's aligned with Stewart-Haas. Newman races for Stewart-Haas. There has to be some give and take here. Somebody's going to have to find a job to take. Kane's going to have to take a job from somebody. It appears like that'll be Mark Martin. Who knows what happens with that third Stewart-Haas team if Martin ends up there potentially. Maybe that opens the door for Kahne to slide in instantly. I think either way though, it's become a little ridiculous. You can't have a sport where guys 2 years out are running for another team. This would be like if David Ortiz in 2004 decided, oh yeah, I'm going to try and win the World Series for the Red Sox, but in 2006, I'm playing for the Yankees. What's the point? I mean, contract is a contract. NASCAR should set something up to make guys honor those.
Sure, and just to play devil's advocate, I totally agree with you, but just to play that other side, it is what makes the sport a little bit different and a little bit more unique, and the Big Four don't do that, and I think for the right reasons, because it's a team sport, and you know, if you're thinking individually like that, and hey, I'm going to be playing for the Yankees in 2 years, how does that play into your mind, you know, currently with what you're doing? So while I agree with you, it does make it a very unique situation within the NASCAR ranks.
It is unique. I think it's something they could do without, though.
Sure.
Sleeper now. I'm going with Jeff Burton. First 3 finishes this season, all in the top 11. Since then, not so good. He's still in the top 10 in points, still in pretty good shape. But his average finish of the last 6 races at Texas is a 7.3. I think he's a guy this week that can kind of jumpstart that season once again.
Yeah, sure. And you know, my sleeper is Matt Kenseth, and you know, I'm looking at that average finish also, and he's got the best over the last 8 races. You know, in the past 5 years, a 5.5 average finish. So he is always in contention, no matter what he's doing during the year. Kind of a slow start this year. He's got himself in there. He hasn't won any races. This could be the race where he can kind of break out of that shell and get a win.
Kenseth leads me right into my fantasy team this week. You'll see here I go in with Jeff Gordon, a winner here at this track last year. David Rudiman, who won a pole here last year. Matt Kenseth, who is the only guy with 2 top 5s at Texas last year. And AJ Allmendinger, who I believe is the only C-list driver with a top 10 at Texas a year ago.
Well, thanks for not mentioning how bad you're beating me at this point. I appreciate that. I usually throw that in there.
Kept it on the DL.
But for the A list, I got Tony Stewart, 9.1 average finish at Texas. I think he might see what Newman did last week and want to kind of get himself back into the winner's circle.
Yep.
While Kevin Harvick and Kasey Kahne, I think Kahne for the reason that you mentioned earlier, where they're going to have something to prove, and he wants to prove that he's earned that spot on that Hendrick team. What better place than Texas? And Paul Menard, the old class, you know, the Class C driver, you know, ride him till he's cold. And Menard's actually put up some good finishes there. 23.9, which doesn't sound great, but for a C-list driver, pretty good.
Yeah, you'll take 24th from your C-list.
Absolutely.
Winner this week, Jeff Gordon, as opposed to Robbie Gordon. I guess Gordon says it all. He's a guy who hasn't won this year. He's running pretty well. He was solid last week. Solid at Texas traditionally. I think he gets in victory lane.
Yeah, I'm going with my A-list guy too. I think Tony Stewart might be able to break out this week. And like I said before, you know, as far as seeing what Newman did last week, I want to make sure that, hey, I'm the owner of this team and I'm the top dog. So I'm going to get my first win at Texas.
Tony Stewart's a guy that lives up to the challenge. We'll see how that works out. For Gavin, I'm Dave. We'll see you next week.
Take care.